freestyle travel. Hey everybody, Kenny Flannery here. I am in Yerevan, Armenia. Having a really good time. Got some good stories for y'all over the past however many days, last week or so. Some organic hospitality from a ganja farmer, a little bit of a ganja farmer. That was pretty cool. Getting absolutely destroyed by a rabbit, making one of the bigger mistakes I've made since I've started traveling. Fucking rabbit, man. Brutal. And yeah, just some classic hospitality here in Armenia. I'm already liking Armenia. And yeah, getting over the border. So I'm going to tell you about all that, all those stories. It's a surprise out here. Didn't really know much about Georgia and Armenia until I got here, and now I'm a fan, for sure. So I'll tell you about that. It's been pretty good. Trip hopping is rolling along. I haven't really touched the code in a few days, which is kind of nice to get away from it for a little bit. But looking forward to getting back into that some more. If you guys haven't gotten on trip hopping yet, you can go to triphopping.com and just create an account and get into it. Or you can even download the Android app. Only a select few have been able to do that, but now I'm kind of opening up the testing. So if you want to try the Android app for trip hopping, I'll leave a link to a Google group. It sounds a little strange, but a link to a Google group in the notes, and all you have to do is request to join that group. I will 99% accept you. Just, say kind of who you are, why you want to try it out, at least. And if you do that little effort of writing a sentence, then I will accept you, and you can download the app from the Google Play link and start trip hopping along. You can do that whether you've already been trying it or you want to try it for the first time. Pretty fun. And wanted to mention Magic Mind once again, the mental performance shot that helped me get trip hopping going. Almost a year ago, actually. It's kind of crazy. This year has kind of flown by, but it was last October that I got into trip hopping again, and that was the first time I tried Magic Mind, which is this mental performance shot. I think it's 2 ounces. It's just a small little green drink that you can drink alongside your coffee or just by itself, and just really helps you get focused. And actually, the more you drink, the more it kind of compounds into goodness. It's got nootropics and adaptogens in it, cordyceps mushrooms, matcha tea. They're really focused on like sourcing all their stuff from high quality places, and it tastes pretty good and it works right away. And like I said, it sort of compounds. So the more you drink it, the more your mind is just focused and not super jittery like energy drinks, which, sometimes I'll still drink those crazy energy drinks just to feel that jittery craziness. But this doesn't give you that. It just gives you the super focus. I really like it. I enjoy it. And they gave me a code that you guys can use to save some money if you want to try it. That link is magicmind.com/freestyle show, custom link. And you can use the code freestyle show 20 for 20% off, freestyle show 20 for 20% off. And try some Magic Mind. They do subscriptions, so you can get it straight up. I know some of y'all have got this subscription, and from what I've heard from you, you enjoy it. So the rest of you, if you want to give it a shot, literally, take a shot at this mental performance shot. It's super good stuff. I really recommend it. Magic Mind. I'll be drinking a ton of it during the brew. I've been talking to my friend Larry more about doing this brew collective for trip hopping, either later this year or the start of next year, probably in Phoenix. So, and that's that's something you guys could get in touch with me if you're interested in maybe helping with trip hopping and whatever your skill set is. Find a way to fit you in. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. So not ready to fully announce when that's going to be, but dialing it in. It seems like it's going to happen. So yeah, check out trip hopping. And if you're really into it, it doesn't matter if you're a designer, programmer, coder, someone who just wants to do research, whatever. Should be a fun experience. If we do the brew the way I'm thinking we'll do it, it'll probably be like a 3 to 4 week thing in Phoenix where we'll brew a batch of beer just to get things started. And beer takes like, depends on the style of beer, but 3 to 4 weeks to ferment and bottle condition and all that and be ready to drink. So it's kind of the perfect amount of time where we could get a lot of stuff done, and then at the end we celebrate with the beer that we brewed. So that's what's up with some Magic Mind and some trip hopping coming up. But let's just jump into this fucking rabbit. Wait till you hear about this goddamn rabbit kicking my ass. Can't believe I made this mistake. Tell you about that and everything from Georgia over the border into Armenia, where I am now. Damn, that is a big looking fucking bee. Wasp or something. Anyways, I'm in a park right here. All right, let's jump into it. Alrighty, so last episode I was in Georgia near Kutaisi and sort of angling towards Armenia. Had a good time so far. Georgia, was enjoying it. Pretty cheap. Cali is this thing I was really enjoying, like this big old dumpling you could find almost all over the place. Kind of mountainous. Georgia, was liking it. So decided to hitchhike to Tbilisi, which is the big city, and easy. I walked through the city, caught just one ride. Beautiful drive through some more kind of like, not like crazy mountains, but just like mountainous terrain. Pretty nice. And on Be Welcome, I found a host in the city. Yeah, these days, since Couchsurfing died, I kind of start with Trust Routes, then maybe look at Couchers or Be Welcome, one order or another. And yeah, found a host who looked cool. Said he like made websites and stuff. And he owned a hostel. So I've had this a couple times before where a Couchsurfing host ends up starting a hostel and they work out some kind of weird little thing. And his thing was you can stay free for one night in his hostel if you find him through Be Welcome. So I was like, all right, cool. Stay with this guy. So yeah, found a brewery while I was waiting for him to be free, which was cool. It was actually good beer for the first time in a long time. Like they only had like one good beer, but at least it was one good beer, an IPA. Tona Brewery. They had signs that said Tona and some that said Tons. So I don't know which was the proper one, but they had a few locations there in Tbilisi, and yeah, pretty good. Then I met up with him and stayed up for a couple hours, probably just talking to him about travel and his hostel that he's had for 10 years and database stuff that he's done, website stuff. So pretty fun talking to him. And then yeah, crashed out. And the next day I was like, all right, let's get to Armenia. But first I walked around the city just a little bit more. Decent city. Yeah, not too bad. Checked out another one of the brewery locations, walked by the river, all that kind of thing. Seemed okay, nothing crazy, but yeah, not that bad of a city. And yeah, then it was hitchhike to Armenia time later in the day by the time I got going. And the very first ride I got, the guy said he was going like, I don't know, 10 or 20 kilometers to the border. And as we were getting closer, he's like, yeah, it's my day off, and just noticing it's a little noisy around here. I think it's okay there. Said he was going to a barbecue with his friend and asked me if I wanted to join. I said, of course. So I joined him and met his friend first, and then other people started trickling in, and he was throwing all this meat on these skewers, getting this grill going. Little dugout rectangle in the ground. That's kind of what I've noticed from Turkey on over. It's the kebab kind of way. Yeah, big rectangle. Yeah, hole in the ground with a bunch of coals, and then they get these skewers and load them up with meat and put them on there and rotate them, and happiness ensues. And that's what happened. So yeah, just drinking a bunch of wine with those guys and smoked a little, and he kept showing me this weed. None of them really spoke that good English, but spoke enough words. It's amazing. If you speak like 7 or 8 words, you can kind of throw some thoughts together, pointing at stuff. So it's doing that. And yeah, it turns out the guy who owned the place was like a poet of sorts and also grew his own weed. So eventually took me, it was a pretty big farm. I was about to say gigantic. It might have been gigantic. I don't know. It was big. I couldn't see the end of it. But we walked down a road and down another road. There's apricot trees, and sure enough, he was growing his own weed. Not a lot, but you know, decent amount. He probably had like a pound waiting to be harvested in not too long. So amongst 3 plants. So that was cool. And then the guy who picked me up was like, I'm going back to the city. Like, I can either give you a ride back to the road, or you can stay here with these guys and stay for the night. So I was like, I will stay for the night. And it was just cheers after cheers and toast after toast. They kept doing these big grand toasts and drinking this homemade wine after each one. So yeah, drank quite a bit, and then drinking off these big jugs of beer. So it was a good night altogether. Super friendly people, and yeah, even not being able to communicate fully, there was still some kind of communication to be had. So yeah, kind of live for those kind of nights. It was awesome. And yeah, woke up in the morning and just got going. So walked, I don't know, 20-30 minutes through the farmland dirt roads until I got to the main road, and then started getting to Armenia. Probably got a half dozen rides that day through and into Armenia. So yeah, a couple rides. Someone dropped me off right at the border of Armenia, and I walked across, and luckily that was an easy one. I always like when borders are easy, you know, just hardly any line. Showed my passport, stamped out of Georgia, walked 5-10 minutes, waited in a 5-minute line, stamped into Armenia. No questions, no bullshit. Happy days. That's a good border to me. So got into Armenia, got a truck ride right away, 18-wheeler. Always love those. And I didn't really sleep much the night before, just staying up late with those guys and kind of waking up early. My internal clock just kind of got me up at like 6 a.m. So didn't sleep much. So it was kind of nice to jump into an 18-wheeler with a guy who didn't speak any English for a couple hours, because I was able to just kind of nod in and out. Not for too long at a time, because the scenery was pretty damn good, so I wanted to see a lot of it. So I stopped myself from sleeping too much, you know. And that guy was going all the way to Yerevan, which is the big city, which is where I am now. But I wasn't trying to get there that quick. I had found another host through Be Welcome again, but not till the next night. So I figured I'd go to this Lake Savan. So he dropped me off kind of halfway. Started moving along, hitched another couple rides, and made it to Savan, the little town. Walked up in there. It was nothing too exciting, but the view of the lake was pretty sick, especially coming in. And it's pretty mountainous the whole way from the border crossing Armenia. I was like, I don't know, I was impressed. To be honest, I didn't really know too much about Armenia before getting here. Didn't do much research, haven't really heard much about it. Haven't had too many friends or anyone tell me too much about it. Didn't know what to expect, and much nicer than random non-expectations, like just mountainous and cool. So yeah, just walked through that town. Like I said, the town itself wasn't too exciting, but I saw there was a Lake Savan brewery on the edge of it, so I'm like, all right, that's a natural, let's go sit down there, have a beer, and kind of decide what's next. So sat down. They had 4 beers on tap. One was simply called the dark beer, and compared to the Pilsner, Hefeweizen, and one other, that was the exciting one, the dark beer. And the dude asked me if I wanted any food, and I hadn't eaten all day, so I was like, yeah, probably should eat something. So I looked at the menu, and they had those kenkalis that I was telling you about earlier that I like so much in Georgia, kind of cheap dumplings. And this is my first time in Armenia, so it's a different currency, so I was just kind of trying to do the math. There's something like 384 these dram, I think they call them, to the dollar, and it looked like it was about that each for these kenkali, which is like a little bit more than Georgia. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get like 3 or 4, 5 of those, you know, $4 or $5, and fill my belly. And then I saw this fucking rabbit. And it's where I made my goddamn mistake. I saw a rabbit, and it looked like it was going to be the same price as 4 or 5 of these kenkali, like $1,700. Yeah, so it's like, all right, fuck it. When do I ever eat rabbit? And it said rabbit like cooked in beer. Yeah, whatever. It's an extra little sell. Like, okay, maybe I'll splurge a little bit, a couple extra dollars, maybe $1 or $2 extra, and get some rabbit cooked in beer. So I do that, and I'm drinking on the beer, messaging a buddy in North Carolina who messaged me out of the blue, and just chatting with him. And then I noticed, like right before the guy asked me if I wanted bread, I was like, yeah, sure. Really not thinking about that either. And I guess that's what sort of tipped me off. He came back with a whole fucking basket of bread, different types of bread, pita bread, brown bread, rolls, quite a bit of bread. I'm like, God damn, why'd you bring me all of this? Just so I could like choose whichever like piece I want? And I don't know, something about that was like suspicious, and then I was sort of looking like what my next beer might be, and then I looked at the menu again and I realized that the Rabbit was 17,000 drum or whatever. Like, by far and away the most expensive thing on the menu. Nothing else was even close to it. So instead of 1,700, which would have been like $4 or $5, this was $40 something. Fuck, for a fucking Rabbit, dude. Oh my god, dude. It was too late now. Like, this shit was about to show up to the table. There was no going back on this, and I was like, oh my god, dude. I was fucked as nothing else on the menu was even close, you know? Like, this, the exchange was like, yeah, $43 is what it was. And nothing else was like over like $10. Like, so it's just, you know, fucked, dude. I guess just, yeah, first time there, and just the extra zero and going from one currency to another, and just, oh my god, I never make this mistake, but there it was. Second most, I think it's the second most I've ever spent on food. Maybe it's the third, but I can't remember another second. I definitely remember the first, and that was intentional, kind of. Well, definitely. It was in Texas, in Austin, Texas, and there's Franklin's Barbecue, and it's a popular spot. It's really good, but it's kind of like overly popular, so you got to get there like 9 a.m. and sort of tailgate and wait in line until they open at 11 or noon. Sort of a thing, but I was with a couch surfing host who was like, I've always wanted to kind of do it, and let's do it. And I had a decent amount of money then, and yeah, I spent a bunch of money on a barbecue, like almost $100 actually, but I was eating on that for days, because the longer I waited in line, I was like, that smells good, and I spent like, you know, a shit ton of money. That was definitely the most I've ever spent, but that was one of the most memorable meals I've had in my life. It lasted for days. It was so good. This Rabbit sucked, dude. Like, and it was just worse given the situation, just knowing that I was like getting screwed, you know, and it just came out dry and whatever. And it was big, just a bunch of potatoes and a big serving spoon, and then all the bread made sense. It's like, fuck, the only person getting this Rabbit is like a family or a group. Like, fucking brutal, man. Yeah, and money is just, I'm counting money in the 5s and 10s right now. So to get burned for, you know, I had to get another beer at that point. I was just like, fuck it, dude. So by the end, I think it was like $50. Like, they charged me a shit ton for the bread. That was some trickery on their part. You know, I think it was all a little bit of trickery. I mean, it's my bad. I fucking read the price wrong on the Rabbit. But it's also like, why do you have this one thing on this menu next to these other things? Like, I don't know. It's definitely my fault, but also, I don't know how much they charged me for the bread, but quite a bit. So, while I was sitting there eating this dry, tough Rabbit and decent potatoes, the beer was okay. I'm not going to shit on them for the beer, you know. By standards over here, if I was in the US, I would have been like, fuck, this is not good. But over here, it's okay. It's like, all right, fuck. It's gonna be a cold night, and kind of deserty around there outside of the river or the lake. So I was like, let me see about getting a bed for the night. There's a $10 bed, so I'm like, fuck, I just spent $50 on fucking a Rabbit and beer. I might as well go somewhere where I can possibly refrigerate this and eat the rest of the morning, because it was a lot. So I did that. Man, what a fucking disaster. I'm gonna be feeling the effects of that coming here soon, because I'm down to the last 100 or something like that. I don't know. I don't even want to look now. Oh, I guess it's less since I spent that. So, yeah, kind of brutal. But yeah, found a place like a kilometer or two away where I could stay for the night, and did that. That ended up being kind of fucked too, because the place said they would take a card, and then I didn't have any Armenian cash, you know. I was paying with a plastic card. And the dude, once I was already there, he's like, you want a cash? So I was like, fuck, I gotta figure this out. So, got like a Cash App card, and I didn't think that worked internationally at ATMs or anything like that. So I'm like, I gotta, but I have all this random currency. I've got some So in the morning I was like, all right, let me go find a currency exchange. So I finally found a place. They looked at my Turkish lira and they're just like, no, we don't fuck with that. I don't think anyone fucks with Turkish lira. I guess it's like so devalued. So they're like, nah. Well, I had a $20 US bill and they wouldn't take that because there's a little tear in the $20. And they're like, this is an old money. I'm like, it's fucking green, man. So then I pulled out my Norwegian money. I left Norway with like $30 or $40 worth of their currency. And at first they thought it was euros and they were going to take it. And then they realized it was a Norwegian crown, which she literally laughed at me. She was like, I don't even know what that is. It's like, fuck. So then I'm standing there like, shit, what am I going to do? I can't go back to this guy's place empty-handed, no money. He wanted 4,000 of these dram or whatever, like $10. And so I just took a chance and the Cash App card that I have, I had like $30 on there and I was able actually to get some out of the ATM. I was fucking shocked. I'm like, I could have done this before at some point, but I needed to. So that's good to know actually that Cash App card works internationally at ATM. So I was able to pull out exactly 5,000 was the lowest amount, the dram. Which actually kind of sucked because when I went back, I think I came out to like $14 or whatever, and then I came back and I handed it to him and he just like, just fucking took it, and I could tell he was not going to give me change and I was just not in the mood to like argue with the guy. Like, I don't know, just these micro scams here in Armenia have actually been adding up a little bit, just a little bit at a time, people just like keeping the change situations. Kind of annoying, but I know down the road I'm going to have hundreds, if not over $1,000 hanging out somewhere, and why worry about $3, So, like, whatever. That kind of sucks in the moment, but my belly's full. I had a great night's sleep. The lake I saw was awesome. Let's keep this thing moving. So I was just like, smiled and got out of there. I was also kind of bummed because I was like, oh, now I'll at least have 1,000, which is like $3 or something, but I'll have that, just in case I need to take some bus across the city or eat a roll from a bakery or something. That $3 will probably be handy, but he kept it. Walked to the road, mission to Yerevan. So I had found a couple on Be Welcome who said they could host me in Yerevan. A girl from Armenia and her boyfriend from France. So I was like, all right, this will be pretty cool. They actually said they live just outside the city, the Labrador, but they'd meet me in the city at some point. So yeah, hitched just one ride into Yerevan, and I was pleasantly surprised. The city is kind of cool, kind of nice. It's got a bit of a classic European city vibe, but pretty nice parks all over the place. There's one park where there's like, I don't know, statues of elephants and giraffes made out of grass or grass-looking stuff, giant staircases, and I don't know, stuff to look at, like parks all over the place. Pretty good little spots. So yeah, just kind of went from park to park and checked out the whole city. I also like that it's not that big of a city. You can kind of walk across the whole thing in an hour. You can walk around the whole thing in a few hours, depending how much you're stopping. Kind of like a little ring around the small city. Little bullseye. Kind of a good feel to it. And then went to one kind of brewery that was just not so awesome, but then I met them at like a Beatles bar. It's kind of funny. And yeah, they were just super, I could tell right away, like, fuck yeah, like super friendly, easy to talk to, interesting. Just gone on a trip to Bulgaria and Greece and had stuff to talk about and ambitions and, all the good stuff you like in people were them. So super stoked to meet them. And they liked beer too. So like this little Beatles bar, which is funny, it's just themed like, the band, the Beatles, and upstairs, downstairs, we were in the downstairs, and I think upstairs they might have been playing Beatles music the whole time. I don't know. When we walked upstairs, like they were playing Beatles music. Thankfully, they weren't just playing Beatles music downstairs. I don't have anything against the Beatles, but just don't play one band the whole time, which might have been going on upstairs. Downstairs, it was fine. And tried some good beers. A couple good local Armenian beers. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, good beer in Armenia. Got some smoked fish and smoked cheese to chew on, little snacks, and quickly grabbed their stuff from a nearby apartment and then headed to the outskirts, 20-30 minutes out of town where they were staying. It was her parents' summer home, where they're kind of staying now. They're sort of in flux. There's moves being made. I don't know how long ago they met, how long they've been together, but I guess they're going to get married here fairly soon and move to France is kind of the idea. So they're just kind of, going week by week, it seems like. Just having a good time. And spent the weekend with them. Just had a great time. So just that first night we got back to their spot. I met their dad, and they had been barbecuing. The mom and dad had been barbecuing there early, so we showed up and there was a bunch of leftover like delicious fish and meats and cheeses and olives and vodka and different liquor and junk to sip on. So we were up till late just talking and bullshitting. And next day we went like hiking to these caves and just checked out some like pretty excellent views and stuff. Took it a little easier the next day, but still like went and hiked around and stuff. And just a super cool couple people. Had a really great time with them, actually. Really great time. So we drove back into the city today, and they dropped me off. And my idea is to probably hitch south from here. But figure I'd get this podcast in. So first I went to Darget, which seems like it might be the best brewery in Armenia. It's the best one I've heard of, the best one I've tried, and it was like 2 blocks from where they dropped me off. So I'm like, all right, let me just grab a beer real quick. There's a Russian Imperial Stout. I haven't had a good Russian Imperial in a while. So I had that, and now I'm in this park talking to y'all about bullshit fucking rabbits ripping me off. And just good hospitality, whether it be organic, people picking me up, or finding people through Be Welcome. Pretty awesome. So let me jump into the outro, and I'll tell you kind of what I'm thinking here next. I got a bunch of ideas, but first things first. So let's get into it. All right, so like I said, I'm in Yerevan, and I'm thinking of walking out of the city here and going south and checking out the area down there, maybe even just for the night, maybe for a couple days. I don't know, probably not much longer than that, but who knows? Depends who I meet, what I see. It's kind of a one-way down, one-way back situation. I can't really jump over the border to anywhere interesting over there. Getting into Azerbaijan or Iran is tricky. Actually, the border to Azerbaijan is shut. I'm not sure of the situation. I don't think there's a proper border to Iran either. So basically, I got to go down there and come back up the same way. And so that's the idea. It's supposed to be pretty scenic down there, so I'm excited to see what it looks like down there. Hopefully it's like kind of mountainous and some cool shit to see. So that's my thought. Go down there, come back the same way, maybe even stop in the city again just quickly for a beer with that couple if they're around. We'll see. And the thought is I got to go through Georgia, but just a tiny little corner of it to get to Turkey, unless I just decide to hang out in Georgia again a little bit more. And then I've got all kinds of ideas and thoughts going forward. Mentioned that trip hopping brew potentially later this year or early next year. So obviously that would mean if I have it in Arizona, getting over the Atlantic Ocean. So I've been looking at different options for that. The cheapest way I could possibly zigzag into that. That's where a little creativity comes into play. So got to juggle how much money I've got, borders, things like that. So I don't know. There's a couple things I could do that I saw on the cheap. So I can like officially go into Schengen areas again, like October 18th or 20th, but technically I could go there now, but only for a day. So, which is enough time if I got to like the edge of Turkey, I could run across Bulgaria really quickly. It's like 4 hours to get through Bulgaria to Serbia, which is not Schengen. So I could make that leap. And then once I was in like Serbia, Kosovo, Bosnia, all that stuff, I'd be in the clear until like October 20th or something. And then could make some moves from there. Thoughts of maybe going to Iceland or Portugal. Be a cheaper way to make some moves. But yeah, bunch of options and weeks until I really have to make a decision. Sort of. Plane tickets are weird. Sometimes you got to get them in advance. So I'm just kind of kicking around the ideas, seeing what's what before I fully commit to anything. I hate locking myself into anything, as you guys know. But yeah, that's what's up for now. Once again, check out Trip Hopping if you get a chance, triphopping.com, or join the Google group so you can get on the Android app and check that out. And yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about that. Check out that Magic Mind stuff if you feel like being productive and focused. magicmind.com/freestyle show, and use the code freestyleshow20 for 20% off. That's good stuff. And yeah, otherwise, I'm posting regularly on Patreon. So if you want to get these little micro casts as they happen, like I recorded one as I was walking away from that pot farm right after the rabbit situation while stuff was fresh in my head. I'm kind of posting these mini podcasts, anywhere from 2 to like 5, 6, 7 minutes long. Patreon.com/kenflannery. Yeah, that's it. So I hope you guys are doing awesome. Cheers from Armenia, and I will catch up with you here, Georgia or Turkey or somewhere totally random on the next one. All right, you guys, I will see you down the road. I need a new escape. With all my shit straight, I'll get my big break.